The following action from the Bela Motor Rally is brought to you by Motorsport South Africa and its partners Dunlop, Toyota, Ford, Sasol and Volkswagen. This is it, the final round in the 2014 South African National Rally Championship. Welcome to the Limpopo town of Bela, scene of round 8 of the championship and the final battleground for the year. This was a new event on the calendar and featured by far the most compact, spectator-friendly layout of the year. Consisting of 4 stages, each repeated in the same direction, and 1 run in reverse, the Bela Motor Rally was made up of 10 stages, 4 run on day 1 and 6 on day 2. And while it certainly wasn't the longest rally on the calendar, it had no shortage of excitement, as was seen in Class S1600, South Africa's premier rally class for 4-wheel drive machines with engines up to 2 litres. With the championship title already firmly in their pocket, Castrol Team Toyota's Leroy Poulter and Elvine Coetzee were really only taking part in Bela because their team and sponsors expected them to. So one could have been forgiven for expecting a so-so performance from the 2014 champions. But you don't become champion because you believe that so-so is good enough. When the flag dropped on the final round of the year, the pair launched their Toyota Yaris S2000 down the dusty Limpopo stages and immediately started clocking up stage wins. Behind them, teammates Hergen Fecken and Carolyn Swan were locked in a battle for second place in the championship. The former double champions had to finish ahead of Sasol's Volkswagen's Hans Weiss in the Polo S2000 in order to secure second place overall, but the fight was going the way of the man from Holland and his co-driver Bjorn de Gant. In the midst of all this was 2013 champion Marc Cronje, who was showing a welcome return to form in the Ford Fiesta S2000. As the stages unwound, it looked as if Poulter and Coetzee would knot up yet another victory for the year. But unfortunately for them, the engine in their Toyota let go on stage 7, forcing them to retire. This handed the lead to Weiss and de Gant, with Cronje and navigator Robin Houghton inheriting second place. Fecken finished just 14 seconds behind Cronje after a valiant fight back on day 2, but in the end it was Weiss who claimed second in the championship, with Fecken having to settle for third on the rally, and also third overall in the championship. But that's how things ended in Class S2000. Let's take a look at how things stood in Class S1600 before the start of the final round. Thanks to winning 6 of the 7 preceding rallies, Guy Bottrell had already sealed the championship in his Yato-supported Toyota Etios R2. Behind him, Matthew Vasey-Lyle, Andrew Hayne, Paul Franken and Chad van Buren were all in with a shot at second in the championship, making for an extremely tight dice to the line in Bela. With no pressure this time around, Bottrell really didn't have much to worry about. Another win would be nice, of course, but the title was already in the bag, so it really would just be for the glory of it and the ability to claim victories on all but 1 round for the year. But for the guys behind him, it was a different story. Chief amongst these was Matthew Vasey-Lyle in the Fragram Toyota Etios R2, brother of Bottrell's navigator Simon Vasey-Lyle. Matthew has shown remarkable pace at times, and though a win still eludes him, the youngster has been in with a shout at the championship in the past. This time he, together with everyone else, was completely overshadowed by Bottrell. Yet he was still 4.5 points ahead in the race for second, heading into the final round.
The plan is just down the road. Obviously, that's going to be important. We want to push a bit, but also be careful. There are tricky stages, and we'll see what happens.
His lead was marginal over third-placed Andrew Hayne, however, and the Volkswagen driver has shown that he is capable of taking the fight to anybody in the field. Still, Hayne had Paulus Franken to worry about, as only 2 points separated them after 7 rounds. Franken has achieved 2 second places so far this year, and the young Manitou Volkswagen Polo has matured into a fierce competitor. One more driver had at least a mathematical chance of taking second in the championship, and that was Van Beurden in the Gem Sport Volkswagen Polo. Van Beurden won in Cullinan earlier this year and had 2 second place finishes as well. But a DNF on the Cape Toyota Dealer Rally put a dent in his championship, and at the start of the Bela Motor Rally, he found himself 2.5 points behind Franken. So that's how it all stacked up before the lights went green in Bela. What followed was one of the most intriguing events of the year, with as many twists and turns as the stages themselves. And after the ceremonial start at the new Bela Mall, it was off to face the music for the last time this year. First up was a stern test in the form of the 18-kilometre long stage 1 known as 2020 developments. This was to be the first of 2 stages, followed by a quick service visit at the Dunlop Service Park before an exact repeat of the same stages later in the day. As has become customary, fastest man on the opening stage was Guy Bottrell, with navigator Simon Vasey-Lyle beside him in the Yato Toyota Etios. The pair posted a time of 15 minutes 27.1 seconds, which seemed reasonably fast, but it wasn't until the second quickest time of 15:44.3 was posted that it became clear just how quick Bottrell's time really was. The young Durbanite had pipped Paul Franken and Henry Kern in the Manitou Volkswagen Polo by 17 seconds on the opening stage, clearly showing why they are the champions. As for Franken, his time was 6 seconds up on that posted by Ernie van der Walt and Rowan Robertson in the Ferrodo Ford Fiesta. The pair had a good run and managed to pip Chad van Beurden and Nico Swartz by 0.7 of a second. Andrew Hain and Robbie Coetzee in the Hain Sport Volkswagen Polo followed 7 seconds later, with a man who was favourite to take second place, Matthew Vasey-Lyle, following 0.2 of a second behind them. Not the greatest start for Vasey-Lyle and navigator Van Heerden, but there was plenty of racing to come. Stage 2, known as Bela Waterfront, was just over 6 kilometres in length, and as the name suggests, ended right behind the waterfront shopping and restaurant complex. Fastest on the stage was again Guy Bottrell, though he only took 7 seconds out of the competition this time. He was followed through the stage by Chad van Beurden and Nico Swartz in their Volkswagen Polo. The pair had made up a lot of time in the stage and moved up to second overall as a result. Ashley Haig-Smith and navigator Damien van As in the AHS Ford Fiesta posted a time of some 3.5 seconds slower than that of Van Beurden, while Vasey-Lyle came through a single second behind them. Young Richard Leek and navigator Rikus Fourie posted the next quickest time in the ATS Ford Fiesta, and they were followed by Andrew Hain and Paul Franken. So, after the opening 2 stages, it was reigning champion Guy Bottrell, who already held a 41-second lead over the competition. Behind him was Chad van Beurden in second place, Paulus Franken in third, and Ernie van der Walt in fourth. Vasey-Lyle's attempt at capturing second in the championship had gotten off to a poor start, as he was holding on to a 5th place after 2 stages. Next up was a 60-minute visit to the Dunlop Service Park, giving the crews the opportunity to sort out any niggles or damages their cars may have sustained before heading out for an exact repeat of the first session. And off they went then for another run through 2020 developments, this time as Stage 3. Fastest through the stage was, well, it wasn't Guy Bottrell for a change. His Yato Toyota Etios suffered a punctured fuel tank, which forced the 2014 champion to retire for the day, and opening the door for the rest of the field to battle it out for the win.
But unfortunately, when we came back into service, we put fuel in the car and we saw it was leaking out quite badly. We tried to fix it, but unfortunately the exhaust was touching the plastic fuel tank and melted most of the tank.
Chad van Beurden immediately capitalised on Bottrell's demise and took the best part of 20 seconds out of the rest of the field. And he took over the lead of the rally as a result. He was followed by Paulus Franken, who in turn managed to beat Ashley Haig-Smith by 4 seconds. Ernie van der Walt followed a single second later, with Matthew Lyle losing another 2 seconds to the man ahead of him. And tellingly, also losing more ground to the guys gunning for second in the championship ahead of him. AC Potgieter and Tommy de Toy in their Volkswagen Polo were next quickest, and they were followed through the stage by Andrew Hain, Richard Lee and Chris Kurze in the Electra Thread Toyota Etios. Stage 4 was next and consisted of another run through Bela waterfront. With Bottrell removed from the equation, it was again Van Beurden who posted the quickest time. His time of 5 minutes 11.2 seconds was 2 seconds quicker than the time posted by Ernie van der Walt, who in turn pipped Matthew Lyle by 3. Franken follows just 0.6 of a second later, with Leek, Hain, Haig Smith and Kurze completing the lineup. With day 1 done and dusted, it was Chad van Beurden who was in the lead of the rally, with a healthy lead over Paulus Franken in second. Franken in turn held a 25-second lead over Van der Walt, with Matthew Lyle just 9 seconds back. Haig Smith rounded out the top 5, though he was another 5 seconds behind Lyle. With the sun setting over the Limpopo town of Bela, it was already clear that Bottrell wouldn't be able to claim another win. But Lyle would have to dig deep if he wanted to keep second place in the championship, and that Van Beurden was sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboard. Join us after the break to see how things turned out in Bela.
On the 11th of December, 2 explosive strikers collide in the electrifying battle for the featherweight title. At EFC 36, the newly crowned champion, Boyd Allen, will set out to prove that he is undisputedly the best featherweight in the organization. Standing in his way is the incredibly dangerous, lethal stand-up specialist, Wade Groff, the biggest threat the champion has ever faced. Plus, 2 top welterweights are looking for redemption as Dino Vagatine goes to war with the highly talented Gordon Rage Rudman. It's Allen versus Groff for the featherweight title, and Vagatine versus Rudman in the welterweight showdown. EFC 36, 11 December, live and in HD, exclusive to Supersport.
Are you a final year film or television student at an accredited institution? Are you hungry for exposure to this fast-paced and growing industry? Then pay attention. Entry into the first ever Mnet Magic in Motion Academy is now open. With hands-on experience from industry giants, 12 top film and television graduates will be groomed to be the next generation of film and television professionals. You can even end up working on exciting productions like Idols. To apply, contact the head of department at your institution before the 5th of December or visit our website for more information. T's and C's apply. This is our commitment at Mnet to setting your future in motion.
Welcome back to Bela and the final round of the 2014 South African National Rally Championship. This was day 2 of the event, which featured 6 stages in the area around the town formerly known as warm baths. First up, stage 5, known as Van Heerden Apteke. This was to be the first of a group of 3 stages with no service in between. Then, after all 3 were run, the crews could service their steeds at the Dunlop Service Park before repeating the exact stages in the afternoon. Fastest through stage 5 was Guy Bottrell, yes, the same Bottrell who retired on day 1. Now racing under Super Rally regulations, the youngster again blitzed the stage. But for the purposes of the final result, he may as well not have been there. That means that Chad van Beurden and Nico Swartz in the Gemsport Volkswagen Polo effectively won the stage, taking 6 seconds out of the second quickest man, Matthew Lyle, in the process. Paulus Franken and Henry Deerlove in the Manitou-supported Volkswagen Polo came through 2 seconds later. and they were followed some 4 seconds slower by Ernie van der Walt and Rowan Robertson in the Ferodo Ford Fiesta. Haig Smith, Potgieter, Hein, Kurze and Leek completed the field. So on to stage 6 then, with a funky name of Toowoomba. This 27-kilometre long tester was a stage with hair on its chest and could well have changed the course of the rally. As it turned out though, that's exactly what happened. Rally leader and second place contender Chad van Beurden's Volkswagen decided that enough was enough and simply cut out. End of the event for the youngster, and with it any chance of moving up in the overall championship standings. As Van Beurden did when Bottrell's Etios expired, the rest of the field was there to capitalise on Van Beurden's demise. Basie Lyle and Van Heerden in the Fragram Toyota Etios responded by posting a time of 18 minutes 18.4 seconds, some 2.2 seconds up on new rally leader Paulus Franken. Ernie van der Walt lost 11 seconds to Franken in the stage, but still managed to take time out of AC Potgieter and Tommy de Toy in their Volkswagen Polo. Ashley Haig Smith and Damien van As came through next quickest in the AHS Ford Fiesta, and they were followed by Andrew Hein and Robbie Coetzee in their Hein Sport Volkswagen Polo. Stage 7 followed, and it was essentially a reversal of what was stages 1 and 3 on day 1. This time, running in the opposite direction, the 18.1 kilometre long stage was known as Century 21. With second place in the championship still up for grabs, the battle was now raging fiercer than ever. Franken still had the lead of the event, but Basie Lyle had closed to within 23 seconds, and 11 seconds separated him from Ernie van der Walt. Tight as can be then. Fastest through stage 7 was Basie Lyle, who took a healthy chunk of time out of Franken in the process, closing the gap for the lead significantly. The Fragram driver managed a time of 15 minutes 34.4 seconds, while the best Franken could do was 15:40.9, 6 seconds slower than Basie Lyle. Andrew Hein wasn't about to give up either, and posted the third quickest time on the stage, some 2 seconds slower than Franken. Van der Walt followed Hein 3 seconds later, with Haig Smith another 4 seconds back. Chris Kurze was the last of the regular runners, but he lost more time to the front runners on this stage. This meant that Franken now held the slimmest of leads over Basie Lyle, with Van der Walt and Haig Smith still in the fight in third and fourth places respectively. Hein was just over a minute behind, but by now everybody knows not to count any chickens when it comes to rallying. After the morning stages, it was time to visit the Dunlop Service Park to prepare the cars and crews for the final 3 stages of the year. And if your name was Franken, Van der Walt or Haig Smith, not to mention Basie Lyle, this was the last hurrah for the championship. As on day 1, day 2 featured 2 sets of identical stages. The second run through Van Heerden Apteke formed stage 7, and by now there was a mild sense of panic amongst the front-running competitors in class S1600. Still, it was a highly focused Basie Lyle who put up the quickest time on the stage, 10 minutes 54.4 seconds, some 4 seconds quicker than the hard-charging Ernie van der Walt who came through next. Importantly, Franken, remember he was just 5 seconds ahead of Basie Lyle before the stage, lost 10 seconds to Basie Lyle here. Haig Smith was next quickest, albeit 4 seconds slower than Van der Walt, and they were followed through the stage by Franken, who had now lost the lead of the rally to Basie Lyle, Kurze and Hein. With the stages now unwinding, it was clear that Franken would have to pull a rabbit out of the hat to beat Basie Lyle if he still wanted a shot at second place in the championship. And stage 9 was just the place to do it. At 27 kilometres in length, it offered plenty of opportunity to make up time, but also plenty of chances to throw everything away. The fastest man on the stage wasn't Basie Lyle in the end, nor was it Franken. Nope. The stage was won by young Van der Walt in the Ferodo Fiesta, who posted a time of 18 minutes 13.9 seconds.
It was a good stage, and we managed to fix the Ford, so yeah, now we can tackle the front 2 runners.
His time was a full 6 seconds faster than Franken, but not quite enough to wrest first place from the Volkswagen driver.
Yeah, the stage went fine, but we seemed to not get the pace on the second run. We keep posting the same time.
Chris Kurze and Marie van der Walt suddenly pulled a great stage time from nowhere and went third quickest. Hayne followed them through, though he lost a bit of time. While Haig Smith suffered a gearbox problem and hemorrhaged time as a result. The biggest question was, of course, what happened to Vasey Lyle, rally leader and odds-on favourite to take second place in the championship? The answer was that the youngster had a rim failure on the Etios and ended up in a fence on the side of the track. He managed to extricate the car eventually, but by then the red Bela dust had already settled over the championship, and Vasey Lyle was no longer in the picture. So all of a sudden Franken found himself out in front, with only Andrew Hayne to challenge for that second place in the championship. But thanks to the unexpected demise of Vasey Lyle, Hayne himself was up to third place, and even the slightest misstep from Franken could bring everything he had worked so hard for tumbling down in the dust. By this stage, Hayne had smelt blood, and with just 18 kilometres left on the final stage of the season, the Volkswagen driver went all out to do what he could. As a result, he won the stage with a time of 15 minutes 39.3 seconds. But he needed more than a minute in order to upset Franken's apple cart, and that was simply too much to ask. Franken came through second quickest, just 4 seconds behind Hayne, and more importantly, 8 seconds ahead of Van der Walt. Matthew Vasey Lyle was next fastest, though after losing a bunch of time on the previous stage, his result was moot. And so it was Franken who claimed a maiden national rally victory. With the dust settled, it was the names of Van der Walt and Hayne who completed the podium, with Haig Smith and Kurze rounding out the top 5. But for Franken, it was a fantastic first rally win, and one that will make him remember the Bela Motor Rally for as long as he lives. Franken had already achieved 2 second places earlier in the year at the Toyota Cape Dealer Rally and the Polokwane Motor Rally, so it was probably just a matter of time before he found himself on the top step of the podium. With that said, the young man drove a fantastic race to put pressure on his competitors when it mattered, and he was right where he needed to be in order to score maximum points.
Yes, it feels great to win a rally and to finish the championship. We started the season a bit difficult, and we're very happy to finish on this note.
And with the championship having gone Bottrell's way at Polokwane already, the fight at Bela was really for second place. Vasey Lyle was at the head of the standings going into the final round, but his rim problems saw any chance of sealing second place slip away at the last moment. Van Beurden was forced to park his Polo, and Haig Smith's Ford Fiesta developed crippling transmission issues. And so it came down to Franken and Hayne to slug it out for second in the championship. Hayne was 2 points ahead of Franken going into the final round, but with 25 points for a win and only 21 for second place, Hayne lost out on that second spot by the narrowest of margins. What a cruel sport this can be. With the 2014 season now behind us, there are many crews who will be left pondering on what could have been. What might have happened if only their cars had been better prepared, or if they hadn't pushed quite so hard at the wrong moments. Crews like Clint Weston, for instance, the champion from 2013, who barely made an appearance this season. Or Chad van Beurden, who clearly had the pace but lacked the reliability and luck to score the points he needed. Matthew Vasey Lyle is another such driver who's been right at the cold face of the championship on more than one occasion, yet never quite managed to hook everything up when it mattered most. For these crews, there may be despair at the moment, but at least there's always 2015 and another chance at glory. We'll see you next year when the rally season kicks off in KwaZulu-Natal. All the rally action from the 2014 Bela Motor Rally was brought to you by Motorsport South Africa and its partners Dunlop, Toyota, Ford, Sasol and Volkswagen.